If you're just starting to learn Blender and learning 3D art, this is the perfect tutorial for beginners. We're going to model Link, going from the default cube to this finished character you see here. All right, so let's get started. And with our default cube, we are going to scale this along the Z-axis. So shortcut S and then Z. So I'm going to go into edit mode after I get the length of the torso the way I want it, and add some loop cuts. So 3 loop cuts. Gonna move these loop cuts. So the middle one to where the waist is gonna be, the bottom one more towards the, of course, the bottom. Okay, scale the waist in. So grab the loop cuts all around the torso and scale those in like so, and then scale out maybe that top loop cut, scale that out. Okay, add another cube, so Shift A, add a cube, and this will be our arm. I'm gonna go ahead and block that out. Okay, go to your modifiers there on our right menu and mirror that arm across the torso. Okay, add a UV sphere, so Shift A to add a UV sphere, and this will be for the neck. So we're gonna scale down that sphere and then scale along the Z axis. Place that where we want it. And then our head, the Shift A, add a cube. Of course, align that on top of the neck. A couple ways we could do this. So we could do a modifier, subdivision surface modifier. But to have more control over the polygons and vertices, I'm going to do a subdivide. So I'm going to put that cube and go into edit mode, and then right click, and then subdivide. Okay, after we subdivide, see that little menu there at the bottom for smoothness? I'm going to go to about 1. And so this way, by subdividing, we have more control of the vertices and to shape the head. It doesn't have to be done this way. This is how I'm going to do it for this character. Okay, so I'm going to take that vertice there where in the very middle at the front, and with G and Y, move it back. And then that vertice, and to go to vertice mode, so on your keyboard, push the number 1. That'll give you vertices. And if we were doing edges, it'd be 2. And then for faces of your objects, you'd click on 3 in edit mode. Okay, so I'm selecting edges there around the head, that middle cut, and bringing those, so with G and Z, moving those up. Okay, yours, it doesn't have to be like mine. Move the edges and the vertices how you like. This is a stylized character, so no pressure. Okay, I'm gonna take those vertices there on the bottom by the neck, on the sides, and bring those in. So I'm gonna scale them in along the x-axis. Okay, so I'll do that a while just till I get it right. All right, and now we're gonna add our subdivision modifier to the torso and also to the arms. Okay, so with torso selected, go over and add a modifier. We're gonna do subdivision modifier, and I'm gonna put it on levels of viewport about 3 for mine. Okay, do the same for the arms. Okay, add a couple of loop cuts. See how it rounded out the arms? And with those loop cuts selected, we can scale them, make them a little wider across the arm. We're gonna duplicate the arms, so Shift D on their keyboard, and then rotate those and move those down for the legs. Okay, and now we have our character, a basic block out for our character. Let's move on to the boots. So Shift A, down to our foot, scale it in. Okay, situate, move the legs where we want them. All right, so we're going to go into edit mode with our boot selected. Extend that along the y-axis, like that. Grab that edge at the top there at the end. Okay, move that down along the z-axis, so GZ. Okay, I'm gonna scale the end in as you see, so select those edges. Then grab that face, so with 3 on the keyboard, grab that face there on the top of the boots, that area right there, and then extend up the leg, and this will give us our boot. Okay, add some loop cuts, and then grab this loop cut, scale it in. All right, that top loop cut, we're gonna add sort of like a cuff to the top of the boots. So add another little loop cut right by that top loop cut. That way when we move, or when we scale in the loop cut, you'll see the shape of it because we added another loop cut right next to it. Okay, change the shape of the top of the boot by grabbing those edges there at the top, scaling in. Okay, so adding a subdivision surface modifier, and also we're going to mirror those across. Okay, so our boot's a little too long. Let's change so scale it in. See? Yep, I'm gonna mess with that a little bit. The legs are too long. And you do that. Sometimes you'll take a break, work on your character, come back, and you're like, you know what? Doesn't look right. Let me change the length, the width. So that's what's happening here. And a couple more loop cuts. You see, as you add loop cuts, it'll change the shape of whatever the object you're working on, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. If you don't like a loop cut you've added, just Control Z to go back and delete, or to remove it. Go back before you added it. Actually, going back to the dress, I'm gonna go ahead and do this now so don't forget. I'm gonna select the dress, go into edit mode. Okay, and add a loop cut there down the center of it. Okay, in X-ray mode, to see through the dress or through any object, will be Alt-Z to go into it, and also to toggle out of X-ray mode, again, Alt-Z. Okay, so we're gonna select half the dress after we've added that loop cut, and then delete half. Okay, so add that mirror modifier, eyedropper against the head. All right, now to the sleeves of the dress, I'm gonna click that face there on the side. So having 3 selected so you can click faces. Extend along the x-axis, rotate, and then G to move after you've rotated. I'm just gonna play with this till I have it over the arms. Okay, add a couple loop cuts there at the top of the dress, like by the shoulders, so we can bring the shoulders in, change the shape of not the dress, I'll keep calling it a dress, but the tunic. Okay, we'll stop playing with that for now. Go back to the boots. Go into edit mode with the boots. Then add a loop cut up there by the, the cuff of the boots. Or add 2 loop cuts. Okay, scale those in a little bit so they're not as round as they were. Okay, a couple more loop cuts at the end of the boot. Okay, just trying to get it to look less boxy. Scale in the end, kind of make the toe a little more rounded. Not too much. Okay, scaling the top of the boot. Also grab that face there at the top, and to make it look like actually the boot sinks in to where his leg is in, I'm going to clip that face, inset with I, shortcut I on your keyboard, and then extend down. Okay, if you have it in X-ray mode, so Alt-Z, you can see where you're extending, where it hits the inside of the boot. And that'll be it for our boots. Moving on to our next object. Okay, so after we have our boots modeled, gonna go ahead and just tweak a couple of things like the length of the arms, the legs, move those up, situate them a little better. Character looks a little too long. Okay, and also the shoulders, we'll fix those. But this is where I just step back, look and see perspective, side view, front view, if it's how we want them. Boots might be a little too big, so bring those in. I'm gonna scale those in. Maybe long ways along the y-axis and also along the x. Okay, make the arms a little thinner, a little longer, the legs a little shorter. Also, good time, I'm going to go ahead and add the hands, at least the shape of the hands. So with the cube, Shift A, add a cube. Okay, scale those down along the x-axis, of course along the y and the z. And then position them there at the ends of the wrists where the arms will be, or the arms are. Okay, rotate along the y-axis. Place those there for now, and I'm going to go ahead and add the subdivision surface modifier. But we'll revisit those hands. So. All right, let's create Link's hat. We are going to add a cube, of course a cube, right? So Shift A. And this one we just have to move back. It's already aligned with its head. So let's move it back with GY. Okay, position it there at the back portion of the head. Okay, go into edit mode. We're going to scale it like so. Make it a little bit, the circumference of it a little bit bigger than the head's is. We're going to extrude those back edges. Okay, like I did there. Okay, and then you're going to move those edges down. So grab with G, move down the Z axis. Then I'm going to go move it over a little bit to the left. If we're looking at the character, to his left, to his right, to our left. Okay, play with this for a second to get it how I look. Like it's a little too long, a little too short. Look at it from different angles. Now to make it look so it doesn't look flat at the end, I'm gonna take what we have selected, the edges in the back. that we scaled down those edges. We're going to take those and we're going to rotate it along the x-axis. And that will round out the hat a little more there at the end. Okay, so you can play with that as much as you want, but I have it to where I like. And that'll be our hat for now. Done. So adding a default cube with Shift A. Right, then we're going to position the cube alongside the ear. Going to mirror with the modifier, the mirror modifier, mirror it against the head. Okay, then we're going to turn them along the z-axis. Going to add a loop cut and then move that loop cut using G to the end of the ear, as you'll see. And then we're going to take the two edges at the top of the ear and with G and then Z, move those edges up to give it that point. And then with G and then X, move it to the side. And then take that edge at the bottom of our cube and then dissolve that edge. That'll give us our rounded edge at the bottom. Okay, and then after that, go out of edit mode, and then you can move the ear, position it how you want it. And that's pretty much it for the ear. All right, so our character's tunic, I mess up every now and then, call it a dress, but you'll see me fix it throughout the video, throughout this tutorial. And a couple of things, the sleeves, where the shoulders are, and also the length of the sleeves. And then if you'll see the bottom of his tunic, it's more frilled out like a dress, which is not what we want. So I'm going to go back and we're going to bring in sides from the x-axis and also from the y. And then of course the arms. Gonna move those to fit the length of the sleeves as we shorten them. Like so. So moving the arms, G, our shortcut key. And then if you double click on the X, it'll move along the X axis, but in a way that we've already rotated the arms. So. Okay, and to give the sleeves, to make them look like sleeves and not like an extension or weird puffy part of the arm, what we're gonna do is inset the end of the sleeve there, grab that or extend it into towards the tunic. Okay, and that's it. I think his tunic looks a little better after we bring in the bottom. Okay, it's got more of a straight fitting instead of like a frilled out dress. Okay, so we're done with the tunic for now. It's looking kind of funny right now, but it's gonna look more like Link with this hair. Let's add a UV sphere. So Shift A, UV sphere. We are going to scale it down like so. Just go scale along the z-axis. Place it right there above the top of the head. Okay, I'm going to go into edit mode. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn on proportional editing there at the top. And position it on the head where I want it. Rotate it along the Y. Okay, so grabbing that vertice there at the end, you see that little blue dot I have selected? Okay, gonna move it with the G shortcut to move, rotate. And you'll see me do this just to position it, so kind of follow along. Okay, rotating along the x-axis. Okay, and if you scroll on your mouse, if you have the scroll on your mouse, you can make it, let's see, more of the hair move altogether or less of it. So play with that as I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to select more of the vertices, as you'll see there, and then grab and move them down. Okay, grab those, move them over a little bit. So you'll see I'm really experimenting. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm going to grab vertices, move them how I want the hair to look. Okay, those along the back of the head by the hat. Move those down under the hat a little bit. So. Now let's try to smooth that. Actually, no, I don't like how that looks. Let's add the subdivision surface modifier. That'll smooth it out a little bit. Get rid of some of the polygons poking through. Give it more of a smooth texture. That looks good. Now let's add the side of the bangs. So Shift A, we're going to add a cube. Okay, I'm going to scale it in along the x-axis, and then we're going to mirror this across, right? So I'm going to add a modifier, the mirror modifier, and then with the eyedropper, click the head to mirror it across. Okay, go into edit mode, and then add a loop cut. Okay, grab that last edge at the back, move it down along the z-axis. Same with that bottom of that loop cut edge. Grab that one, move it up along the z. Okay, so we're just going to play with it to give the hair some jagged ends at the bottom. As you'll see there. Of course, we're going to smooth it out. We're going to add the subdivision modifier here in a little bit. See, that looks a lot better than if the hair was to go straight across, right? Okay, so scale it along the y-axis there at the top. Okay, so I'm going to get those how I like, and then we're going to move the bangs, or the side bangs. I'm going to curve the top there at the long side, the top of the head. So grab the faces there at the top of the bangs, like so. You can have push 3 on your keyboard, select those faces. And then with proportional editing still on, you're going to go G and then move along the x-axis. Okay, it'll curve like so. And then also grab the faces there at the bottom of the bangs and move those in to give it kind of a scoop of the bangs. And then we're done with those. And let's add another little spot here of hair. So UV sphere. And then like we did with that first little portion of the hair, we're just gonna grab the vertices, edges, faces, and move those along, shape them how we like them. Subdivision surface modifier. And that's it, we're done with the hair. All right, so revisiting these ears, going to pull them in a little bit. So on that face, the outside face of the ears, we're going to inset that with I, shortcut key I. Okay, and then GX to bring it in, like so. Just to add a little detail there to make them look more like ears. I'm going to click on our hands. We're going to go into edit mode. And we're going to add loop cuts across the hands like that, in that direction. Okay, that way, see, we have where the 4 fingers will come out. We're going to do an inset where the fingers will be. So just a little bit. But I'm going to do the inset individually, across each finger individually. After I get those done, I'm going to grab all the inset we created and then extend them out long ways. Let's make the hands a little bit smaller. And then put them back, situate them towards the wrist. All right, let's see where we made that loop cut, that face right there. We're going to add our thumbs. So extend out. And then we can move the ends there with X and then rotate along the Y axis. And then situate it how you want it. I'm going to change the shape of our hands to look proportionally correct with his body. It's time to add some more loop cuts. So along the palm, I'm going to add 3 more. There at the thumb, and then each finger will get 2 loop cuts. That will make the fingers more round and less, well, less that shape. Look a little more real. Okay, I'm going to scale the end of the thumb right there just to make it look more like a thumb and not so fat there at the end. I'm going to grab that little edge underneath the thumb and just move that out a little bit. Grab those faces on the outside of the hand, and then with G, move them along the Y axis, move them back a little bit. Okay, just like a real hand to the palm. I'm going to grab those couple of faces inside the palm. Let's see, move them back Y, so G, Y, move them back a little bit. Okay, let's modify his sleeves a little bit so they don't look like arms. So I'm going to grab the ends, the face of the end of the sleeve, and then do inset, and then extend it inward. To make it look like a sleeve. Okay, and then let's forward slash I'm gonna go into isolation mode with the hand and grab those faces there where the, kind of where the wrist would be and the hand would be, connect and extend those out. That way, when we go back, it looks like there's a wrist inside the sleeve. Okay, and then these fingers, they're all the same length, which we know fingers are not the same length. So I'm gonna go back and we're gonna shorten the fingers that need to be shortened. Okay, so I'm gonna, with Shift Alt, holding on the Shift Alt, I'm gonna grab the loop cuts that we created from each finger, and yeah. So with G, and then along that axis, the x-axis, I believe we're gonna move those backwards to shorten. So pinky, ring finger, index, until you have it, till we have them like it. We like it. And then pull out, look at the hand. Does it look right? And it looks all right. So we are done with the hands. All right, to make a quick nose, we're gonna do Shift A, bring in a cube, scale it down, and then add a loop cut there in the middle. Push that vertice at the bottom right there, and then you're gonna bring it forward, GY. Make it a little skinnier, add a couple more loop cuts, and position it in the middle of the face where you want it to be. Nose finished. So Shift A, UV sphere. So go into edit mode. You're gonna select only half of the sphere, top or bottom. Let's go ahead and select the top. You're gonna go ahead and delete. Okay, then we're left with the bottom half as you see here. Now we wanna add a face to the top. So we're gonna select the edges around the top. So select, holding Shift and Alt, select one of the edges, and then I'll go ahead and select all of them around the diameter of it. And then after you have them selected, push F, and that'll fill the top. Okay, take it out of edit mode. And now I'm just going to make sure I have the face how I want it. Okay, let's move a couple of those vertices on the face. Make sure the shape, like I said, is where we want it before we apply this modifier. Okay, move the mouth where we want it to be. Now you could scale it along the Z axis if you want. You want to make it longer, or along the X if you want to make it wider, depending on the smile you want. Okay, and then with the Boolean modifier, apply it on the head. Okay, now to do the teeth, we are going to, so move it back to the mouth. So with GX, move it, center it back into the mouth. We're going to scale it down. I'm going to go into edit mode and alter the teeth a little bit. Bring down the vertices, bring in the vertices, as we see there. Okay, so we have our top row. So going out of edit mode, we want to make sure the teeth are selected, right? And with Shift D to duplicate, we're going to flip those, right? So with R, you're going to push R and then rotate along the Y axis. So R, Y, and then 180. Okay, it's going to flip that. Move those teeth down in the position you want them, and there, teeth are done. We are going to go and add eyebrows, or add a cube with Shift A. Add a cube, scale it down. So S right there above our placement eye. We're going to change the eye. Okay, go into edit mode. And we are going to move this cube along the face, so how the eyebrows would be, closer to the face. Okay, so grab the edges here on the left and move those back with GY closer to the face, and then do the same to the other side of our eyebrow. Okay, we're going to add a modifier, a subdivision surface modifier. That way we'll round the edges, the corners, so they're not sharp. And a couple more loop cuts, that way we have control over the bridge or the curve of the eyebrows. Okay, and then also don't forget to mirror across. So with the, go and add a modifier, your mirror modifier. Okay, move the edge of the eyebrow down, give it some more shape. You can change yours up however if you're following along. And that's it, eyebrows. All right, for our character's belt, you'll be surprised we're not adding a cube, we're adding a cylinder. Shift A, and you'll see in that same list, go down, cylinder, align that where the waist is, scale it down along the Z axis. Okay, and for this, we're gonna shrink wrap it to his tunic. Okay, that part of the belt's that easy. Now for the buckle, we're gonna add a cube, scale it down, bring it to where the middle of the belt is. And somewhat like the hands, we're going to use inset. So select that face there on the front. Make sure you have 3 selected on your keyboard to select the face. Okay, and then I to inset, like so. We're going to push it back, G, and then push it along the Y axis to where you can see, the strap of the belt. And then move the buckle up. I'm going to put a modifier on it, the subdivision surface modifier, to make it more rounded at the edges. Add a couple of loop cuts so we can kind of change how round it is. Can I add a loop cut there in across the x-axis and then scale that out. And then that's it. Belt's done. All right, so those eyes we had, I selected them off camera and deleted. So just selected X to delete on the keyboard. We are gonna put in the final eyes. Here, starting with the eyeballs. And then from there, we're just gonna go ahead and color them. And we're gonna go back and finish the eyes and then put some color in the eyes as well, okay? All right, so selecting our tunic first, I'm gonna go over and then over by our menu, that little volleyball looking picture icon. This is where we're gonna add color. So new, and then scroll down to your viewport display. I'm gonna choose this green. Okay, and then hair, do the same. The yellow really doesn't matter. I'm gonna pick the closest to kind of blonde, to the character's true hair color as I can find. Okay, since it's already on our list, I picked the other items, objects of the hair, and then just click on that same color. Okay, for the skin, I'm gonna go ahead and choose what I want a skin color to be. So for the ears, face, and hands, those will be one color. The eyebrows are gonna be the same as the hair color. And then here for the arms, the sleeves on his arms, I'm gonna go ahead and do like a brown. I'm gonna rename that brown, but I'm going to also do it for the boots. Okay, like his stockings, that'll be a white. Okay, the teeth we could leave because they're already pretty white, but I'm gonna go ahead and make those a white color and then add the gloss. So to make something look glossy, see the brightness in the viewport display? I'm gonna slide that over to 0. That'll make it look shiny and glossy. Then also if you want the opposite, do not want gloss, slide it over to the complete right. Oop, almost forgot the neck. Should match the skin color. Okay, like the belt strap is gonna be a brown. All right, and see that belt buckle to add the metallic? We're gonna slide that little metallic slider over and just play with it and get the look you want for the metallic metal color. Okay, I'm done for the coloring, except for the eyes. So let's go back, add the rest of the eyes. So for that, I'm gonna take the eyeballs that we have, going to duplicate with Shift D and then scale down to get our iris. Mirror those across, of course, with the modifier. Okay, go ahead and add color to the iris. I'm gonna do a blue. Okay, and same method for the pupils. Going to duplicate the iris, bring those forward with our shortcut key G and then Y. Add color to those, make the pupils black. Okay, and this is very optional, but I'm gonna add that little white dot to the eyes. So I'm gonna duplicate the pupils and then move those into position right about there. And then make those white as well. And there we have it. We're done with our character. Alright guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. And also too, if you were following along and doing it with me, then please send me a picture of what you created. Hit the link for my Instagram and then DM me a picture. I'd love to see. So, alright, see you in the next tutorial.